Welcome everybody to our weekly energy update for energetically sensitives and empaths. My name is Jona Bryndis, and together we're going to be looking at collective energies here and how they affect us. Thank you guys for letting me know where you're from. Canada, Hollywood, who else is here? Guys, it's so good to do this live. Denmark. Wonderful. Australia. It's, you know, I notice about myself that I'm much more efficient when I do a live stream than when I record this on my own. I have to do retakes all the time and get wrapped up in my own perfectionism. So since it's live, it's out. Nothing I can do about it. Yes, wonderful. Guys, this last week was quite challenging, and we're going to talk about this. Chicago, I see you here too. Yes, it's wonderful. Please comment, ask questions, and give me feedback. This leads me to the themes here for this week. This coming week, and I've announced this in the energy forecast for June, is starting to become very intense, and this will actually continue all summer. And these energies that are building here are basically energies that remind us of our inner duality, of that battle between light and dark within. And as the summer solstice energies that are usually sort of bringing in a shift here. So summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, it brings in sort of the pinnacle of clashing energies, all right? And this year in particular, I've never felt it that strong. I felt chaos before, I've felt all kinds of things, but this intensity and this clash that is coming in here is quite intense. And I tried to prepare you last week when I said, I said this was going to be a good week, right? and the barometer was on green. And what did this do? It created lots of expectations and frustrations. And I said, guys, remember there's an ambiguity here that is coming forward. It's a testing. It's a testing how well you can stay in your heart and maintain your center. Okay, and so this was a big lesson for me as well. Lots of people experienced, of course, heightened energetic sensations such as 6th and 7th chakra, third eye, but also like, head stuff, dizziness. A lot of people had dizziness, and myself included, a terrible, terrible digestive system, not working well. I felt like 8 months pregnant all week, and somebody said here within the sacred self-healing community that it's like rebirthing myself. It's like contraction, these labor pains of finding myself. And so the themes for next week, guys, are dealing with this duality within. And this, of course, brings aspects of feminine and masculine energies, and I'm going to talk about this here in a little bit when I go through the physical, emotional, mental, social, spiritual, and energetic aspects of this. But all that really does is it reminds us on this constant adjustment process. And we cannot want a new paradigm, and we cannot want humanity to evolve without having to go through, the adjustment pains, the growing pains, okay? So please don't build up expectations based on the energy barometer simply because it measures intensity. So last week wasn't really a high intensity, but the way it translated for us, this testing energy, this evolutionary correcting energies, was challenging for many of us. For some of us, it was for some of us it was great. And some of you, I know, those of you who work with me in energy coaching here and energy sessions, transmissions, I know that you guys made some really cool decisions. So this is now everything that we've worked on in the last months, this conscious making process, okay, now needs to be implemented. And the entire June from here on will build the pressure to do this. So if you're still sitting there and not taking any action, not really doing anything about things, okay, then you're gonna experience this as, you know, really painful. But not painful as in like, I told you so. No, as in, you know, you'll feel your own duality, you feel your own schisms, and that will be painful. And guys, those of you who are on this awakening journey here, there is nothing more painful than that kind of pain. It's a new kind of pain. Now, once you align yourself to your heart, once you align yourself to truth, there is a new sense awakening in you, and that is the sense of your inner guidance, your true inner voice, your authenticity. And when you act against it or don't go with it, resist it, you're going to experience an inner pain. That's a different kind of pain that we've experienced before. And you've heard me say this, but it is in the human nature to not want to change until the pain of staying where we're at is greater than the fear of the unknown. So everything here is about the fear of the unknown. And yes, there is uncertainty. And yes, there are things building in the collective that are not looking so good. And yet, you got to look beyond that. Sure, we are in between all this right now. We're sort of going back and forth and don't know where we belong. 85% of the total population on this planet is not aligned to truth. This means not 8 out of 10 people here, even watching this, will not be aligned to truth, meaning they don't have a sense for discerning truth. 1 out of 10 will be flipping back and forth. And only one person that you meet in every 10 persons will actually be fully integrous. And this is part of our heroic journey here. I just published a few field reports from last week, because the sessions, the energy sessions that we did here, the True Self Transmission and the Grace Gaia Sophia Marathon, were extremely insightful in regards to, you know, entering and facing the unknown and how to out-vibrate the collective, the matrix, so to speak. And so I want to just briefly here, before we get into the forecast for next week, remind everybody what this journey is truly about. It's not about ascension, guys, to be better than others. That is not based on truth. That is not integrous. So if you are aligned to specialness, if you are aligned to, you know, wanting to be better than others, or even wanting to be perfect, okay, you are not yet aligned to truth. So this journey, guys, you know, is a cycle, and it is a continual cycle, just like the cycle of life. And I'm not going to go too deep into this here. I've actually produced a 21-day, 15-hour free energy lesson video series that you can watch here on my YouTube channel called Out Vibrating the Matrix, I think I called it, or Breaking Through the Matrix. Yes, free energy training for empaths. So guys, please take advantage of that. Today here, what I want to do is just illuminate real quick what we are looking at. I'm trying to keep this short for next week, and then I strongly recommend to watch the video or read the report, or do both, for June energies, because in order to fully understand June energies and the duality, the ambiguity of it, I'm explaining this there's many different aspects, and we're going to be encountering some of these here today. But my goal, of course, is to give you guys a heads up, to give you guys energy tips that you can work with, so that this doesn't, you know, pull you into the dark night of the soul. All right, so let's get started. What's the overall energy translation? You know, it's Emotionality is coming in very strong. This is probably what we felt in our bellies, guys. Empaths usually absorb emotional energies through their belly. If they're not fully aware of those emotional energies coming in from others, then it can also show in the lower back. So be careful there. Absorption is a big subject here for all summer. All right, and so as these strong and intense emotional energies are building, they're only building, guys. This is not going to be over with until the end of August. All right. We're going to have to metabolize a lot of that. Okay, so be aware that not all of this is yours, and so whatever gets triggered in you, don't let this trigger you. Okay, I did remind everybody, and I will continue to do so throughout the summer, to physically integrate these things. So the physical energy tips here for this next week will be grounding, spending more time in nature, really utilizing nature as a centering, as a grounding, and also as an alignment tool, and lots and lots and lots of water. The energy centers affected here next week are 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 6th chakra. And with the new moon on Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday, and the 13th, the 5th chakra is going to be challenged a bit more, so where we have to bring things into expression. But right now there's a full-on battle going on inside of you, as to how you're going to deal with, your own emotions in comparison to other people's emotions. So if you have digestive sensitivities, say, or food sensitivities, be particularly careful this week. And maybe, I don't know, I have this like dairy sensitivity. I love cheese and I love yogurts. I'm a pescatarian, so I do eat dairy products too, but I'm staying away from it. I'm not I'm not provoking any of my sensitivities here with my digestive system, because it can pull my overall energy down. And then what that does to me emotionally is that it can pull me into this loneliness, into this like, oh, nobody loves me, and it's really important that you understand that these frustrations that you feel coming in, and you can actually see this in traffic too, that all that has to do with you not fully metabolizing your emotions. So it's not enough to just meditate this away, guys. I know many of you listeners or in the audience here, you have become great energy managers, and energy management is a really, really good tool to not feel overwhelmed or to feel ousted. But it does not alleviate the need, or it does not relieve you from the need to face your inner stuff, the inner child stuff that I mentioned. Well, I keep on mentioning it, the karmic stuff and so on. All that is, coming back in because it's an old program. And guess what? When new paradigms are trying to establish themselves, they're going to challenge the old programs. So emotionally here, be careful, to not repress your emotions. Allow your emotion. Journal, write it down. Always keep in mind that it may not all be yours, but don't make other people responsible, or blame other people or the collective for that matter for it either. Whatever triggers in you is yours now, and so this is what you got to work with. And the heart-centeredness, the 4th chakra that is coming in, or that has been coming in, is your key out of the frustration. Go into your heart. Go into self-love. Ask yourself, what makes me feel loved? What can I do right now, to show love to me? It has to do with self-care. And you guys know this, when you stop watering your plants, when you stop, doing, cleaning up your kitchen, taking care of your car, taking care of your pets, that's a sign that your energy is going lower. So counteract this actively, immediately, do things, prove to yourself that you love yourself, because as you do, you know, that your resonance will increase so that other people feel more inclined to go there as well with you. And I wanted to do a little sidestep here and emphasize the meaning and also what this can really do for you of having pets. I don't think I've ever met a group of the population that responds more to having pets than empaths. Anybody is, and this is scientifically proven, we don't need to talk about this, you know, feels uplifted, and it prevents cardiovascular disease and, you know, increases longevity and so forth. We know this. Having a dog, having a cat, you know, is good for you. But I want to point out why this is so good for empaths. First of all, you know, everything our pets need, and especially with dogs, I notice, because they need to go out every day. They need to, you know, be in nature. They need to sniff around. They need to play. They need to do all these physical integration things every day. Okay, what's good for our dog is also good for us, and it helps us in these times of, say, decreased self-care, self-love. Okay, so taking care of someone outside of you, preferably not a partner, because you're not responsible for your partner or the world, but, you know, a child or a pet or plants for that matter can help you to regulate your energies better, can help you to metabolize emotional energies better. Just be careful to not project all your emotional or unresolved emotional stuff onto your pet. We do pet clearings here as well, and I hate to say it, but a lot of times what we're clearing from, you know, these energy bodies of the dogs and cats and horses is mostly what is coming from their owners. So be conscientious about that as well, okay? Let me double check here if I'm, you know, seeing all you guys. I'm seeing all you guys. Wonderful. And please comment. Mentally, what's the problem here mentally? Mentally, you know, the biggest schism that we all have is that we want progress, we want evolution, we want all that, but we don't want to give up our conveniences and our comfort zone. So yeah, sorry. We all have to accept, you know, that this is a constant evolutionary process. Remember that cycle that I showed you earlier. It's a cycle. It's not an event. It's a process, and that, you know, it goes through a constant renewal process. And each time, you know, it renews itself. It increases its vibratory rate. It becomes faster in its vibratory rate, and you got to allow that. So this is why I said don't repress your emotions, but mentally also stop, you know, building all these unrealistic expectations. This has a lot to do with hyping things up and making things special. If you don't hype things up, then, you know, you don't need to be disappointed, you know. So I'm not saying to down talk everything in order to prevent disappointments, but what I mean to say is, like, you need to tame the extremes in you, all extremes, the extreme low and the extreme high. The only reason why we, you know, sort of go off on these extreme highs is because we feel this relief of pain. But guys, it's not about, you know, constantly being in a high. It's about learning how to juggle all this and how to live all this, okay? So just because you have really cool experiences doesn't mean you have to project them out or you have to make them special, because in that moment, the vibratory rate of whatever it is that you're experiencing is actually lowered. It collapses that that faster vibratory rate. So this is why I keep pointing at spiritual specialness so much, because that's a big temptation, you know, for those on this journey. Socially, we have an interesting influx of life force right now. We talked about this last week, and this can and will, we've already experienced this here at transCODES, you know, where we kind of go through these energies kind of ahead of time, produce a little bit of confusion here with sexual energies, okay? So sexual energies are coming in right now as an expression, as one expression of life force. And if it gets stuck in your second chakra, okay, then first, you know, then it turns into lust and desire without any purpose, without any commitment. And for most people, especially for, you know, our male empaths here, oftentimes also guilt. All right, the guilt of feeling sexual energies. No, allow all this, guys. This is part of your life force rising. Okay, you just can't leave it there. It's not about desire and lust. It's not about overpowering others. It's not about getting laid. It's about coming into expression. You know, or bringing our life force into expression, bringing it into divine creation, into synergy with someone else. And here again, the centerpiece is your heart alignment. Okay? There's a video that I produced about sexual energies and wrote lots of articles. I'm going to put the links here in this video. But I can see already how this will be a bit of a challenge for some of you. Mostly because there's a lot of sexual projection in the air. Okay? And sexual projection often goes with power and specialness. Okay, so spiritually, how does this play out? How can we work on this? Okay, this will be a big theme here the next 3-4 weeks. Masculine, feminine energy, balancing this out. Okay, we all know that we have masculine and feminine energies in us, and they need to be balanced. And you know, as a woman, of course, we have a slightly higher ratio of feminine energies, and as a man, a slightly higher ratio of masculine energies. That's just, you know, because it's part of our source, of our energetic source. But there are a lot of problems with this in our society, and we've discussed this many times. There are negative and positive expressions of that, and there's an over-alignment to one or the other. So, you know, just historically here throughout our human evolution, the last, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000 years, the emphasis has been on masculine energies, okay, due to the patriarchal paradigm that we've had. And so a lot of women, you know, feel that feminine energies are kind of weak and not successful. So we, and this includes myself, you know, for a long time, align ourselves more to masculine energies because you can simply get farther with it here in this society. However, this is all changing as part of this paradigm shift. This is changing too, and so we gotta learn how to balance this within us again, so that we can have full access to our true source of power. And this is not just for women, it's for men as well. I call this emancipation, with spiritual energetic emancipation. Okay, and this is now starting to bring in issues, you know, like, okay, what is a spiritual male? What is a spiritual female? You know, and there's again so many identifications and projection of that, you know, keyword spiritual specialness. Guys, let all that go, okay? As a woman, it is okay to be spiritual and to be soft and to be allowing, but to be stern at the same time, and to go into this strict love that I talked about last week here in I don't know if I published an article about this, you know, like strict love, you know, where you have to be the strict mother. Okay, you can't always just allow no boundaries. That doesn't work. And as a guy, same thing. It's totally okay to be a guy. It's totally okay to have these urges and to have that, you know, let's go, do. All right? But without the space and the allowing and this like sort of fertility, you know, that comes through experimenting and, you know, like you know, accepting things more, you know, with just pure force, you know, it's not really going to work out that well. And this is what drives us into this perfectionism and into this like constant self-doubt and guilt and so forth. So this is a huge topic. We're going to actually have a workshop here, a healing circle workshop at transCODES someone in June, called the Creator and Destroyer. It's about recontextualizing feminine energies and how we can integrate this. So these healing circle workshops are cool because we do an energy session, then we do a webinar right afterwards, and there's a lot of education in that, and we go through, you know, what do feminine energies and feminine expressions actually mean, and what is the variety here, for both genders. So it's not just for women. Don't get me wrong. So we're going to have to work on our masculine and feminine energies, and you can see the theme here. It's always the same: balancing, taming, schisms and extremes. Okay, so really working with who we truly are. Okay, when I'm a woman and I have this like sort of rough outside, and I just like become this like sort of goal-getter type of woman, is this really my true nature? I mean, for me to say I love baking, I love working with my plants, with my pets and all that, this took me 20 years to be able to actually identify with this in a sense of like this part of my power. Okay, so that's also where the water comes in. It's very important to work with these more feminine energies, and water is a representation of that. So it's all about the evolving Homo spiritus, as Dr. Hawkins actually called it. Energetically, if you want to actively work on this, there are some things, of course, that, in regards to masculine and feminine energies that we recommend. We have sessions for this here at transCODES. But there's another aspect that is coming in, and that is that we really need to have a clear and proper yes or no signal. So if you are an energy worker and you're already familiar with your energies and building your inner lexicon of sensations, this week I would strongly recommend to you to consciously work on developing a clear signal for yes and a clear signal for no, which is basically the ability for you to discern truth. And on top of that, for those of you who already have that, last week I said staying present, being present, because this is where manifestation, where your attractive field is basically determined. I want to recommend to you to work with your future self. We teach people how to work with your future self. There's certain techniques, but intuitively you could also do this, by, when you go into meditation and you want to hear your true guidance, or you want to connect with your true inner voice, don't, externalize it so much. I know a lot of you guys work with angels, animal spirits, or guides. It's much more efficient and also more true if you connect with your future self, just like how you can connect with your past self and tune into this accumulated wisdom and the truth, for yourself. So we teach people here how to do this. And once more, the promo here for our upcoming live workshop in Florida in 2 weeks during the summer solstice. We're going to be working exactly on that. So we still have tickets available. We have accommodation available as well. Please go to transcodes.com and check this out. How is the world looking like here for the next week? Traffic stuff, explosive stuff, continued volcanoes, and all of that just at the beginning of it building. So there's a violence, there's an explosive violence building. So I hate to say this, but please, guys, watch the energy forecast for June. It's much more detailed there, what all this meaning is. All we really need to learn is how to face it, how to deal with it, and not to cope with it. Oh, and one thing I forgot, next week and throughout the entire summer, addictions. Because of this increased emotionality, we're going to have to deal with, an increased flare-up of addictions. And also extremes here. This could lead to more suicides or deaths or celebrities and stuff like that. All right, guys. Well, don't forget to smash the like button. Please comment. I'm getting a little frustrated because I'm not getting enough feedback. So if you want me to continue doing this, comment, okay? And I'm getting ready now for the crypto spiritual energy update here in 25 minutes, reporting how these collective energies and the sentiment is translating into the crypto market, into the financial and blockchain development that we are seeing here, sort of as a life report from, this shift in our financial power system. All right. I hope to see you again here next week. Thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.